Should we do some Wombat's Fortnightly news?
Yes.
Did you want to yell at somebody in your house first?
No, it's okay. It's just the dogs.
You can yell at them.
You'll get the dogs.
Okay.
Yeah, Fortnite had an update today. What was interesting about this one is now you could see how many people are playing Fortnite in the game. Like they have user counts for all the different modes. And you can see at one point today, there was 1.5 million people playing Fortnite. Just like randomly on a Wednesday afternoon. So
you were one of those people.
No, at the time I was not. It was someone posted on Twitter. I just happened to see it.
Got it.
You know, right now there's a 1.5 million people. So that's a lot of concurrent players.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So in case you didn't know, Fortnite still popular. That's really where I was going with that.
I knew that.
Big news, big headlines. Most popular game, still popular game.
Yep.
So
you love it.
Yep. I do.
I know. What else?
It makes me happy.
Good.
What else? So do we want to talk about the big thing or do we want to save that until after these other smaller things?
I don't even know what the big thing is.
Talk about the things. Tell us what we're talking about.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
First, let's talk about Multiversus first. Because I find this to be very interesting.
Yeah. Well, no, there's one interesting part. I know what Wombat's going to say.
Ahead, sorry.
It is interesting.
I actually find this to be more than fascinating. So don't squash this for me. Are you familiar with the game Multiversus?
I have played Multiversus.
Okay. It's like Smash Brothers, but with Warner Brothers characters?
Yes, it's a transformative experience.
Yes. Well, apparently that game has been in open beta the whole time that this game's been out, which I believe is close to a year, if not longer. They've been selling things like this $100 Founders Pack that apparently, a handful of people have bought. It also appears that this game has been in open beta the whole time. And come June, early June, they're going to just, shut the game down completely with the plan of rebooting it up again in early 2024.
So if you spent your money, I guess it'll be waiting for you in 2024? Maybe.
They say everything that you bought will be there when the game comes back.
That's pretty shitty. I would be pretty bummed.
But the game will not be playable for 6 to 9 months. Whilst they retool it for the final version because the game is in an open beta, as I air quote everything that I just said.
Right.
Now, if you go onto like the Steam store or your Xbox store or whatever, it actually doesn't say in the store description that the game is in open beta. It's only when you boot the game that it says, please note this game is still in open beta. It may not reflect the final version. That disclaimer that you've probably seen before in a handful of
It's funny how they did that and not realizing it's a guaranteed lawsuit. I mean, guaranteed lawsuit. 100%. Like,
and it's one thing to say your game is in open beta. It's another thing to shut it down for 6 months. What could they be doing? Here's the example. It's a Fortnite example. Between Chapter 2 and Chapter 3 of Fortnite, the game was down for 12 hours. Just 12 hours.
But that was just because something got fucked up.
No, they always have downtime between chapters. But they relaunched the game on a completely new engine. Basically, they built the all new game, everything rebuilt from the ground up. And they had that ready to go and launched in 12 hours. Obviously, they've been working on it for a long time, but they only needed a half a day of downtime to pull it off.
Whack. Well, they're going to enjoy the lawsuit.
What does Multiversus need to do that they need to shut down the current game completely to bring it back in 6 months?
I know.
What is the rationale?
Save money.
Right?
It's always money. Save money.
It has to be. It sucks. Now I'm thinking
very bad business practice.
I'm going with, because this is Warner Brothers. Is this going to be like a Batgirl situation?
Oh, they're just writing it off.
They're just going to write off the loss.
This didn't set the world on fire, I'm guessing, this game.
I don't know. I guess not. I played it when it came out. I thought it was fine because, I'll check out Batman and Superman and Tom and Jerry.
Right.
But I'm not a Smash Brothers guy. So it's very derivative. It's a very derivative game as far as I can tell.
Oh well. Well, at least they have their money. They're holding on, sitting on some money for a little bit.
They got the money they got, but
it's probably not coming back.
I don't think it's coming back. What do you think, Ship? Is it going to come back in 2024?
I don't know. Like I was under the impression that this had a fan base, but I have not been following it closely. But right. I see it like pop up on the Xbox dashboard from time to time. Like they're still pumping some advertising into it or something. So I'm trying to think through, what are they accomplishing in that 6 months by shutting it off and then bringing it back? And I can't come up with a real good logical reason for what that would be.
Right.
Because there have been games that have been, that have released in open beta and then finalized themselves. Again, the other example, Fortnite did that famously with Save the World. It was an open beta for 3 years. And then one day they just posted an announcement. This isn't an open beta anymore. And that was it. There was no downtime. They didn't pull it. They didn't shut it off.
I mean, that's the common thing now, right? Like, unless it's like the only betas that I see anymore are like, hey, a weekend beta for a multiplayer mode in a game where they're testing that, right? Like that's also a completely, like I played the Diablo beta all weekend. Yeah.
I want to hear about that.
And it's awesome, but I also knew that the beta was only for the weekend.
I didn't.
And if you go to buy the game, it even says it when you go to buy the game when the release date is for the game. So there's no surprise there.
Guess who tried to play the beta on Monday?
It was supposed to still be there on Monday.
It was, but not in the afternoon.
Oh, okay. Sucks for you.
Yeah, I was like, this is taking a long time to load.
Sorry.
What about E3? Let's talk about E3.
And now let's move on to the big news. So everybody's pulled out of E3, and the CEO of ReedPop left. Yeah.
I didn't hear that. Okay.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, he's out too. So I'm going out on a limb here.
Wait, now you're saying the CEO of ReedPop has resigned, or he's?
I don't know.
Uh-oh.
So I don't want to say one way or the other.
Oh.
They also said that it was planned before all this, which I find to be a little suspect.
What was planned before this?
That he was leaving.
Oh.
So
they're going to cancel this, I guess, right? Or no?
I don't think how could it happen? Who's going to be there?
Not me.
Maybe you could do like a table tennis exposition at E3 and just change it from E3 to Major League Table Tennis
T3. Yeah. That's, at least no pressure to go.
Yeah.
So I don't feel bad about that.
Nope.
All right.
I don't even understand like it's going to be April.
Mm-hmm.
Like how do they not know what companies are going to be there?
But meanwhile, all these companies are still doing something themselves during that time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are.
Some of them are. Okay. So I guess.
And there's still going to be a summer games fest too.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
That's the
one in where do they have that?
It's
just online.
It's just an online thing where it's just interviews and videos and
so basically the elite gaming media will still go to LA during that time. If they're not going to the convention center, they'll go to the events that EA and Ubisoft are having, and whoever isn't Microsoft having something. I mean, they're all having something, right? I think.
And they'll all be streaming too, and you'll be able to watch it from the comfort of your couch.
Media elite, I say, will make the trip.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I don't know who they are, but it's not me.
I wouldn't even know it. Like, it took a lot of planning, like from when we were going, right? Like on our side, it took a lot of planning to go to E3 as far as here's what we're going to do every day. Like these are all of the companies there. This is all of our appointments. This is our schedule. I wouldn't even know how to begin that at this point with the state of E3.
Well, you'll be making appointments with like all the weird like VR companies, like VR Sphere. run inside a big hamster ball with VR. Anyway, well, I think E3 could still be a thing, right? I mean, why? How come they can't pull this together? Is it just because they're charging too much for the big companies to participate, or the big companies just don't want to do it? They'd rather just do their own thing at any cost.
Even I think it changed from an industry event into a press, like a here's all the trailers and everything.
I mean, the original purpose of E3 was to sell games to retailers.
Right.
And there are no retailers selling games anymore. It's not a thing. You don't need to have a claim there selling X amount units of the South Park game to Toys R Us anymore.
Yep. So maybe it doesn't need to exist.
Mm-hmm.
What else we got here? Oh, good news for Microsoft. Japanese regulators and British regulators have approved the merger, or have said they're not opposed to the merger.
They said fine.
They said it's good enough. Good enough. There's good people on both sides, and we're going to give you the thumbs up. So, yeah.
And now there's U.S. congressmen that are going after Sony because of how Sony kind of came after this, and it kind of exposed some of their side too.
But
we said that might happen on this show. We said that months ago.
We also said that this merger is definitely going through.
Mm-hmm.
But they were talking about the Xbox launch in Japan.
Yeah, and everything Xbox in Japan, right?
Yeah.
Now Sony just kind of is dominating that market, and some of it is not through true competition. It's just like grabbing all of the Japanese IPs,
lock them down. Yep.
And then you have nothing. Yep.
What else we got here? Did you know that the NPDs are not the NPDs anymore? It's a new company.
What are they?
They're the Circanas.
No.
Circana is now NPD is now Circana.
We haven't had this in a long time.
I know. Circana. Good name.
It's because they don't show the digital purchases, so the numbers aren't
that useful.
Yeah, remember when they used to actually show how many copies were sold too?
Yes.
That was fun. That's when it was fun.
Remember,
do that again.
Remember when we had somebody in our hotel room with the MPD laptop, and we would just ask the names of the games. We would just tell him the name of the game, and he would look it up and tell us how much it sold, and we would try to guess. It was so fun.
Yeah, that was a good time. Oh, well.
So who was number one here? Let's see. It was Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah, that's not a surprise. We knew that it sold a bajillion copies.
And I didn't realize that the PS4 version has not come out. The last gen.
The last gen versions aren't even out yet either.
Or the Switch version.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
A lot. I finished that game, by the way. We'll talk about it soon. I have a lot to say. Not a lot to say, but something to say.
Don't forget the oath.
Who are the... I got an oath actually to give, but it's... Anyway, so anything surprising on this list? Wow, Like a Dragon made it on here.
That's because you don't know the numbers, and you don't know what the drop-off is. And
right.
You don't know what digital sales were either.
Right. I got to think there's a pretty big drop-off between like Modern Warfare 2 and Like a Dragon.
Right.
You would think.
You'd think. I mean, I don't know the answer to that, but I also know it's like, how much money did Fortnite make last month?
No one knows.
Exactly. How much money did Call of Duty make last month?
Meanwhile, they got to pay out. You saw they got to pay out $250 million for this Dark Patterns thing.
Yeah, you know that it was terrible and they should be fined.
It must have been, because that's a lot of money for a fine.
It was super shitty. They were bad. Baby did a bad
It was
thing.
It was several things. It was like a few different things, and they were all involved, like tricking people into buying shit into Fortnite.
Buying shit. And they fixed it. They were fined a lot, and they fixed it. And now you really have to buy something to
they really want to make. Well, it's good. At least it worked.
Yeah. So hey, they learned their lesson, I guess.
It's actually not a fine. It's supposed to go back to the people. So can you get some of that money or no?
I did purchase something. I have one purchase that was an accidental purchase that I would love to get my V-Bucks back for. So if they want to give me my $13, I'll happily take it.
And one thing they said they were doing was that if you called them up and said like, "Hey, I made an accidental purchase. Can I get a refund?" And if you made too big of a stink, they would threaten to just cancel your whole account. Which is like, oh, whoa. So yeah, that was one of the things mentioned. That's how you can get
and
some
it's
money.
funny because they tried other things before just doing the full shop overhaul.
Yeah.
Like they did this ticket system thing where you get 3 tickets a year, and they still do it this way. You get 3 tickets a year. And if you buy something and you decide you don't like it within 30 days, you can return it, and you can do that 3 times a year. With V-Bucks. You can't do it with cash money purchases, but you can do it with V-Buck purchases. But that was sort of like their thing of them saying, we know a lot of people buy things by accident. Here's one way to get around it. They didn't input that until after I made my accidental purchase, but I did make a couple of accidental purchases after that I was able to use the ticket system for and get it back. So that worked. But now
they owe $250 million back to the people.
Yeah.
God, they make so much money.